Um, Fragments are expressions of the thinking process. These can typically be divided into two categories: perception and technique. The former changes how one perceives reality, while the latter affects your actions onto reality. An example of perception is running through the sci-fi framework by viewing yourself, others, and surroundings from the perspective of an alien. This changes how you see and think about reality, but not what you do with it. The golden rule from Christianity would be an example of technique, which instructs an individual on how to act in the world. The thinking process that forms a fragment comes from the interactions of filters. Okay, that's pretty good. So what? Where are frameworks?
It's a three-paragraph dealio that goes over fragments, filters, and frameworks, I would imagine.
True. A filter is an individual's lens. How is a filter? Okay. A filter is an individual's lens in reality and the subjective
This is not
internal.
even the final one, so like eventually we bring in facets, so we're not even there yet.
Jesus. Oh, yeah. That's why I always call it faggot. A filter is an individual's lens on reality and the subjective internal experience one has in this world. While Christianity is a single religion, every follower experiences it in a different way.
I can't hear you right now. I could just hear you there for half a second.
The thinking process that forms a fragment comes from the interactions of filters. A filter is an individual's lens on reality and the subjective internal experience one has in this world. While Christianity is a single religion, every follower experiences it in a different way. Every materialist has their own thoughts on science and the universe, and no existentialist thinks about meaning in the same way. This acts as a guide through one's life, influencing thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and morals. As every individual has their own filter, a collective filter begins to form, a framework. That's not what a framework is. I guess you could kind of say that. Definitely not the right way to view it. The right way is definitely to view it as like the base code or like base series of atoms, the basest substance. And a framework is not supposed to be like a collective filter. It's supposed to be like the book. It's supposed to be a name thrown on it. Like if you had three different Legos and then you put them together left, right, left, and then you called that like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and you put them together right, left, right, and then you call that the Twin Towers or whatever. Then like that's the difference between like other different between different frameworks. Like they're just different series of the same Legos. They're not like their own
Yeah.
thing. They're just like a different bookmark to reference a particular pattern of the base substance or base Legos. Frameworks are every way that a filter has affected the collective internally and externally, individually and collectively. Christianity has had many different interpretations throughout its lifetime, which has affected many people. This Christianity is not labeled as Catholic, Baptist, or Presbyterianist. It includes every version of Christianity that has existed and influenced it in reality. The same can be said for a room. In a given room, 100 people can walk in and experience that room in a different ways. One may not like the wall color. One may think the rug ties the room together, or that the plants in the corner make them happier subconsciously. But the room in itself, and every way it has influenced a person, still exists as a single thing. So the room is the framework, and then there are different interpretations of that framework. And everyone can agree that it is a room, and that's why it's a framework. I mean,
But
I can see why we did
the
that.
the middle paragraph where it just talks about uh perception and technique and just how like different frameworks guide your reality and how like all of what you see is like determined on your frameworks. That's a very like level one sort of idea, but like it's very much like it should be how we scoop in people, how we hook them.
I
Um,
haven't read that yet. I don't remember it yet. I'll have to wait
it was
till you
just
get that.
it was the filter one.
Oh, just this one? Um, this right here.
Yeah, just the general idea, like just learning frameworks, realizing you have frameworks, and these individual mental conceptions of your
Oh
reality are
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. That's very just like every philosophy says this in some way. Like everyone has their own word or series of words that explain this topic.
yeah, yeah, and just like and how we were originally talking about frameworks, like how they're different labels of how to understand reality, different guides to understand reality. If people are actually aware of that, that should be like level one. How did he introduce someone into the topic?
Well, yeah, definitely. That's what I learned lately. Like even like last month, even before I read back through these, is just like even to myself, like I'm not thinking in the way I'm not thinking religiously anymore. I'm thinking in framework terms. Like that's what I meant where I'm like a true return to frameworks. That's where I'm at right now. Where it's like truly in my head, I don't believe in God. I don't think there is a God. I don't think I found God. I am only interacting with that on a level of what is the most useful framework to enjoy reality. That's the only level I'm working on. There's no level above that. There's no level below that. There's no metaphysical truths. There's no reality that I'm interacting with that is separate from the frameworks. Frameworks isn't one way to find that fundamental reality. None of that stupid fucking bullshit that just gets in the way of your understanding of God. It's just purely how do I enjoy reality the most? And guess what? If you get to that point where, if you get to if you truly understand frameworks, if you understand the definition of frameworks, then you understand that the entire goal of frameworks is to arrange them in the best possible manner to achieve the best thought texture. And what does that make you do? What would you be doing if you'd be doing that? Are you perhaps acting in alignment with the will to taste? Isn't it weird how you've somehow ended up doing what God would do, being God through the definition of frameworks? It's almost like you don't need to understand God as something separate from frameworks, but instead God is something that arises from your understanding of frameworks, because frameworks are directly God. And frameworks aren't something which explains God, but instead they are God in themselves, or at least the closest thing you can possibly get to God in any sense which can be explained. But yes, that's the level I'm on now, where I mean, a true fucking return to frameworks. There's nothing in my head that thinks there's anything except frameworks right now, and it feels wonderful.
Yeah, like back to basics.
Oh yeah, back to basics. What 5.0? Fragments are expressions of thought. These can be. Well, okay. We should probably skip to like the last one instead of reading every little fucking edit.
Yeah, we certainly went at it. I remember doing this on the trampoline.
Yeah, me too. And Ryan was helping us too. Filters are any process that affect a subjective interpretation of experience in an individual. Filters are any process that affect a subjective interpretation of experience. Okay, Jesus.
Oh, that's Ryan.
Yeah. Jesus.
Is what he called the common or collective consciousness. The common consciousness is basically the collection of all the beliefs, morals, and ideas that are.
Yeah, collective consciousness. Yeah, copycat bitch. Exactly. If
And
Ryan
who
does
was
not,
that?
just some random fucking
Is what he called the common or
sociologist.
collective consciousness. The common consciousness is basically the collection of all the beliefs, morals, and ideas that are.
I
Is what he
can't
called
even
the
say
common
that
or.
anymore.
Crash course. That's funny.
Yeah. If Ryan does not read this message, inform him there will be a group call on frameworks this weekend. How's 9 tomorrow work for everyone? Great picture. Okay. Private chat. Rip. I think this is the one. Yeah. Are you seeing this?
Yeah.
Maybe that isn't the one, because the one I'm talking about went actually like probably 3, 4, 5 times longer than that. Eternal recurrence, white hole into black hole, multiverse reset. Yeah, here we go. Okay, eternal recurrence, Nietzsche, obviously. White hole, okay, that's God, or maybe it was people, but it was one or the other. Into black hole, God or people, depending on the time. Multiverse reset. Okay, you got me there.
Yeah, that
Okay,
sounds big.
whatever this is, we've got black hole, white hole, ID. What is that? I remember that. Fuck, what is that? Surely we explained that long series of codes somewhere. Damn it. BWHID, opening parentheses, S semicolon EE, closing parentheses, BH. Black.
That That's so perfectly confusing.
Yeah. It's not. Wait, black. What? No, that's black hole. That's white hole. What is B? Baptism. But that's a B. That B is uppercase, which means something. That white hole. What is ID? I remember ID. I remember thinking it's so obvious what ID is. I don't even have to explain it. I remember thinking that. God damn it. Okay. Versus baptism. An ego is to be tasted. That's a great framework. An ego is to be tasted. That's literally just saying like you are only a sacrifice, and understanding that is like really all religion. I remember this code, dude. I remember this being a banger framework too. God damn it. I remember me referring it to this all the time to you, and you being like, "Will you stop referring to it as I don't know what that means?" A metaphysical worm / cruelty of God. Yep, the same things as an ego is to be tasted. It's just yet again, it's this focus on the understanding of yourself as like a very small, meaningless piece of God, and not meaningless because it's not nihilism, but it's like just understanding your place really, not like being like I'm God's strongest soldier or some fag shit like that, but like actually understanding like Jesus Christ, look how beautiful and look how small I am in this giant picture.
You're certainly one of the soldiers, all right.
Yeah.
So then it's a big war.
Yeah, sadly for you, the army is a multiverse wide. Will to power versus will to taste. Ubermensch versus divine taste. Will to power versus will to taste. Yeah, well, will to taste wins. Ubermensch versus. Oh, this is literally just the creation of fucking will to taste. This is literally you're literally all of this is me texting myself on sub one. That's what all of this is. Will to power versus will to taste. Ubermensch versus divine taste. So here's me figuring out. Oh, that's cool. Ubermensch versus divine taste. So like the divine taste would be what God's working towards. That would be like the final point. And the Ubermensch is obviously Nietzsche's concept. Getting fucked by God versus ego is to be eaten. Yeah, same type of concept. Difference and the one. That's Catboy Deluse's concept. It's a great understanding. So that he's lobotomized now, or she, whatever the fuck. Understanding metaphysical differences through thought textures, and animate versus animate thought textures. So that's Zix and Azix. Yep. Okay, Zix, Azix, Zix. Xazix becoming Zix and vice versa. That's black hole and white hole. And vice versa. How that is white hole, black hole. Yep, there's me figuring that out. Eternal recurrence. So eternal recurrence is what I'm saying there is eternal recurrence is the dance between Zix and Xazix. The white hole and black hole coming together is the wormhole, and that is eternal recurrence. Eternal recurrence and wormhole, the same thing. Holy shit, this is actual masterwork level shit. Azix is inanimate thought textures. Zix is animate / the divider. Perhaps Zix is a synonym for ego, and ego is to taste. Oh god, that's gorgeous. Xazix is divine taste. Xazix, Azix, Zix, simulation stories, framework, thought textures, will to taste, divine taste. I'm just trying to list all of my ideas. Simulation stories, so that's like the bacteria or algae carpet, I mean, the multiverse, the like man looking to the orb, frameworks, thought textures, will to taste, divine taste. Divine taste is just the end goal of the will to taste, the final flavor, if you will. That's an interesting concept. I haven't really dealt with that one in a long time, but it's cool. Separately, principle of mutual exclusivity, intellectual consistency. Oh yeah, these are ideas that have nothing to do with religion, but they're also good. Principle of mutual exclusivity. That's rectangle square. Intellectual consistency. That's a good idea. That's actually like I saw something interesting the other day, or thought of something interesting, which is that the intellectual consistency is the opposite of God. How intellectual consistency is like the peak of Western philosophy, like almost bad Western philosophy, where it's like really what you don't want to be is perfectly intellectually consistent, but it's more like you want to be. It's so weird. I don't know how. Like it's like you don't. If you're thinking about how intellectually consistent you are, then you're already like failing to be God because that's not the way God would think about it. But yet God is intellectually consistent. There's something interesting in there. I don't know how exactly to explain that, but that is an interesting concept. Intellectual consistency, while an extremely valuable concept on its own, is perhaps anti-religious in itself, which is fascinating. Interdimensional versus ego is to taste. I don't know what interdimensional means in that context.
Yeah, wait, what does that mean? Versus.
Oh well. By the way,
wait, that's what ID means.
I was just about to say that. That's ID. Interdimensional. Well, I'm assuming that. I mean, considering I'm putting it up against an ego is to taste, it's got to be a similar thing. It's got to be whatever my version of that was at the time. Pretty sure interdimensional, that's what it was. Interdimensional was my version of in relation to God. Interdimensional was my way of saying, like, understanding something in its objective perspective. It's like understanding it from an interdimensional perspective. Okay, so go back. Let's try and understand that. Black hole, but I think this is black hole. What is this? Big white. I don't know. Well, this is white hole. Oh no, so B. I don't know what B means. We gotta figure out what B means eventually. Maybe baptism. Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah. Baptism. White hole. Interdimensional. Black hole. I don't know what C is.
Wasn't there some kind of... So there's some connotation of a gun.
That would have been some version of interdimensional slingshot. Which makes sense that you said that because that we're talking about interdimensional right now. So obviously interdimensional slingshot was the next evolution of interdimensional, and then probably that became interdimensional orbital cannon or whatever the fuck. Infinite love, being in the present, meditation, left brain versus right brain. Go farther into the relationship between an ego is a taste and a Cynthia beta beta. That is an interesting concept. I think, do you know about a Cynthia beta beta?
Yeah, I remember that. I remember thinking that was perfect.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so I want to explain this with speech because this is extremely fucking complicated. It's very, very weird. The
Yippee!
relationship that these two have. So right now, how it works is interdimensional. The script which I run on interdimensional is an ego tag, right? So in other words, interdimensional just means any truth, any story, any thought, right? Any thought which inspires eating. Okay, so that can be the story, that can be your conception of God, that can be the saying, an ego is to taste, right? And all of the subcontext included in an ego is to taste. But so in other words, right now I'm using an ego is to taste as my multi-dimensional script. So when I'm running multi-dimensional, I'm always running an ego is to taste. But here's the weird thing about that is that within an ego is to taste, you can say it includes both multi-dimensional and eat. Or in other words, it includes both white hole and black hole. So in other words, within white hole, which is interdimensional, you have within that you have an ego is to taste. However, within an ego is to taste, you also have both white hole and black hole. So you've got this weird fractal going on where you have two things, and within the first thing, there's one thing, and within that one thing that is inside the first thing, you have the original two things, and that will repeat on forever. So it's very strange. Let me explain that a little farther. So an ego is to taste. Here are some of the things which it implies. Right? I'm gonna write this down so you can see it better. So an ego is to taste implies that
Whoa.
every time you think, right? Every time your ego produces something, it's reaching towards the divine taste. Right? So every thought is with...
Trevor, tell me this shit isn't some of the most gold we've ever found. This is what a fucking gem of mine this chat is. Holy shit, look at this. This is gorgeous. This is some of the most gorgeous shit I've ever seen in my entire life.
Feels like lost of time, but now I'm looking at it, I remember it like yesterday.
Oh my god. I mean, Trevor, this is like, we're still using this.
Yeah.
This is the birth of, like, the shit we're still popping off on. It's crazy.
This is like 1 year old.
Yep. Actually, 09, 12/22. 12/22. So yeah, exactly a year ago.
Yeah, or it'd be September.
Or wait. Yes, no. I read that like a retard. I read it backwards.
You read
Yes.
that like a Britarded.
True. Yeah, so it's the 9th month, 12th day. So a year and 3 months, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Pretty fucking crazy. So I didn't understand that first thing I said completely. Whatever it was brilliant. And if I wrote it down, I'm gonna have to write it down in MS Paint probably next time. I am gonna re-listen to that one if I don't get it, if it's not explained better in the following voice messages.
Okay, right?
Dude, lately I've been getting this framework all the time, which is understanding, in the same way like you can hear my new favorite animal apparently, an orca, communicate through like these like whines. It sounds like a puppy. Um, like we are like just communicating through like both breath, which is something that I got a lot when I was working on the story, and I was imagining how the main character, not the main character, how the lizard guy, how he saw things and spoke, and how his whole life was dictated by breathing. How like breathing literally was all of his senses. Like it dictated his every single thing that he did required him to continually breathe in and out. And I understood that like in the same way you don't think about speaking as part of breathing, but literally you're just shaping your breath. It's not like it's literally not a different thing at all, not even a little bit. It's you're breathing in and out, and then all your mouth is doing is shaping, and then your throat and your lungs are dictating how much air is getting through, and then you're shaping that air as it's coming out. You're flinging out the CO2. You've sucked in oxygen from the fucking stratosphere into your lungs, and then you're transferring that, and you're shitting back out CO2 out of your mouth, and you're using that shat out CO2. You're using lips, these fucking flesh flaps, to shape that shit CO2, which can then be understood by others as language. Like in the same way that like you don't think about like a pencil on paper as you, right? But for some reason you think about the way your meat flaps shape air. You for some reason think that is you. You think that can perfectly dictate you. And just like the understanding of language is just like such a imperfect, like crudely put together, pieced together human invention that like it's the same exact thing as fucking wooden spears and bronze
And like
swords.
and like the analogy of breath and like the human or existence, where like we have the ability to turn air into this vibration. We can turn that infinite potential vibration into any particular sound. And like the word spirit, like the word the where soul comes from is literally the Greek word pneuma, which means breath. So like we are the metaphysical version of the universe's breath, taken from an infinite form into a particular shape, which is us.
You betcha. Something very interesting about imagining God's breathing as low and panicked. That is what this whole thread's going to be about. Oh fuck, what was I going to say? Shit. Well, anyways. That's what it was. Are you recording too right now?
Uh,
Because you switched your PC, so you're probably not. I'm still recording, so it's fine. But, just in case this is failing, which it shouldn't be. And honestly, I'm just gonna go ahead and check it.